Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's September 18th. These are your headlines. Seeing a good movement of false albacore moving into eastern Long Island Sound. Seeing some striped bass action out around Block Island that's being described as world-class. Good togging along the Rhode Island shoreline. And up around the Cape, we're seeing some really good striped bass activity from the canal all the way out to Race Point. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. We're going to start things off with the fact that fluke season is going to close on September 23rd in Massachusetts. So if you're looking to get one more flatfish for the freezer or to throw on the grill, you better make it happen this weekend because it's going to close up pretty quickly. Wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that before the weekend. Next thing, let's check in with our tournaments. Here's what's going on in the Dreamboat Challenge and the Coastal Kayak Clash.
Here's the latest for the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. First up is New England subscriber Richard Turcott from Coventry, Connecticut, with his second entry in the contest with a 6.40-pound weakfish weighed in at AW Marina, putting Rich in third place in the weakfish category. Next up is Dean Poella, New Jersey subscriber from Springfield, New Jersey, with a 3-pound porgy weighed in at the tackle box. This entry places Dean second in the porgy group. Adding to his entries and placing fifth in the porgy category goes to Thomas Luciano, Long Island subscriber from West Sayville, New York, weighing in his 2.43-pound porgy at J&J Tackle. Our final entry is from Long Island subscriber Joseph Lacusi from Ridge, New York, taking fourth with his fluke at 10.4 pounds, weighed in at Montauk Marine Basin. With the latest entries, this shook up the leaderboard. The new standings are Thomas Luciano taking first with 22 points. Rashawn William dropped to second with 15 points. Jeffrey Harrison is holding on to third with 13 points. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize, so however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
We had 3 fish enter the Coastal Kayak Clash this week. The first one was a 23-inch weakfish landed by Gregory Vergare, which now holds third place in the weakfish category. The other 2 were hardtails, both of them false albacore. Tom Hood had a 25-incher, which holds third place in the hardtail category. Bruce Lofgren had a 25-1/4-incher, which holds second place. Our top 3 still looks about the same, although Dustin Stevens lost 1 point thanks to Gregory Vergare's weakfish. So Dustin has 8 points, holding first place. Rothenong is in second place with 6 points. Eddie Roman is in third place, also with 6 points. It was that tiebreaker striped bass that keeps Rotha in second place.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com.
Next, let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
Welcome to the Winner's Circle. It's your host, me, Jenni Ackerman, and on this week's Open Boat, we're kicking off the Super Flukers Challenge Winner's Circle. I got my laptop with me. Thank you everyone who submitted all of your entries. I love getting emails from you guys with your fish submissions. We did one back in the fall, probably gonna do it again, and the same thing with the Super Fluker Challenge. Now, it's September, so of course you do still have some time to catch some fluke based off of your region. You know, keep in mind the opening and closing dates of every season of species you're targeting, so you're not, you know, gonna get yourself in trouble. But the New Jersey region, like where I'm in right now, we're seeing the start of our mullet run season. So if you're fishing the beaches, you'll see little schools of mullet running by, lots of bluefish giving chase, and of course, fluke love mullet too. So now's the time, you know, go to the beach after work, and you can literally throw anything from like an SP minnow. I had a kid catch a 25-inch fluke yesterday on an Ava jig. So anything that imitates that long profile of a mullet, or you could just go to your local tackle shop that has fresh caught mullet and try throwing it out there to see what you can get, because you still have a chance to catch a really big fluke to close out your 2025 fluke season. And I also really appreciate just studying the patterns of how this fluke season has been based off of, you know, how it's been in the previous years. So just seeing the differences and similarities, like every angler should take note on to kind of mentally prepare themselves for the 2026 fluke season. But realistically, it's like, you know, we have your patterns, but you never know what's gonna happen, like what to expect. And I know a lot of anglers who submitted like some of the biggest catches, they caught them in places they would have never expected to have caught big fish. So life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So let's get into the first part of the winner's circle. If you guys recall, I asked for the first part for you guys to submit pictures of fluke that you caught on a bucktail. And kicking it off, we have Ralph Albino. And of course, wait, before I start anything, I apologize if I butcher your name. So we have Ralph Albino with a nice fluke that he caught on a bucktail. And then next up, we have Justin Elliott sporting a Yankees hat. I know this is gonna cause a great debate in the comments, but you know, go Yankees. So he's got a nice fluke right there. Moving on, we have Pete Egbert, and Pete had something to say with his. He said that he caught his 16-inch flounder in his backyard of Long Beach, New York. So we can't beat fishing your own backyard for some nice flukes. And then we have Bob Vendetti with his bucktail fluke. Moving on, we have Carl Ward, and Carl has his bucktail that he tied himself, and he has a nice fluke netted in, looks like a pink and white bucktail. So it's also really rewarding going through like making your own bucktails, making your own lures, building your own rods, the whole 9 yards. Making something that you're catching fish on is like really, really rewarding too. So congratulations, Carl. And then we have multiple submissions from Dennis Portalatin. So he's got multiple fish on the bucktail jig here, showcasing 1, 2, 3, 4 flukes caught on the bucktail. And then we have Timothy Vess with his bucktail fluke. And he said that it was 3.5 pounds at 20 inches at the north side of the bay of West Long Beach. And then we have a bonus fish here from James Bier. He was fluking and he caught a striped bass on his fluke rig. So you're gonna see some wild card fish submissions here for the winner's circle of the Super Fluker Challenge, which I love to see. And next up, we have Joshua McCloskey with his bucktail fluke, and he was fishing on the Atom Bomb out of Cape May. And next up, we have Nick Rambo's crew posing with their catches of the day. Looks like some nice fluke sandwiches for dinner with all these guys, so all nice bucktail flukes. And then we have Pedro of Capt Fishing with 2 flukes caught on the bucktail and some decent sized ones too. So that wraps up the first part of the winner's circle. And keep in mind, like I said before, guys, you still have time to be fluking. We still have time before the stripers show up. Right now, you do have other species to target too, based off of your region. You have albies, you have Spanish mackerel, you have bluefish, you have freshwater species. Don't forget about your freshwater species, your lakes, your ponds, your creeks, your streams, all of the above. Any body of water that's not a puddle, you can find fish in. So don't be sitting around, waiting for a species when you can go out and target more. So go out there, get down to some more fish, enjoy the good weather. Next week kicks off the first week of fall. So bring on the fall and let's see what comes next. And I will catch you guys on next week's open boat. We're continuing off with the winner's circle. So let's go.
Last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing. And as you guys may remember, this one wraps up on December 3rd. So we've got a long time before you have to get those photos in, the entire fall run, and then the beginning of sort of the fishing off season, if you will. We're giving away quite the prize pack this time around, which has a Yo-Zuri mag pencil in there. It's got a monster shot from Yo-Zuri. It's got a whole bunch of plastic baits in there, some stuff from Bait Fuel. It's got a, what else is in there? We've got a Dexter fillet knife, a whole bunch of stuff. So definitely worthy of your time. And if you guys don't know how this works, it's quite simple. You just got to take a photo and send it in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. And just want to try to capture a fishing scene that exemplifies New England fishing. So maybe it's something like this, maybe it's out on your boat. Doesn't matter if it's saltwater, freshwater, doesn't even matter if you're catching on vacation. The main thing is that you give me the name of the angler, the size of the fish, roughly where the fish was caught, and any other pertinent details. Send them in to me, and we'll get you in the magazine, probably get you in the report, and you might win something cool.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
Moving over into the reports now, start things off up in Maine, where the fall run appears to be fully underway. Seeing a lot of nice fish coming out of Maine right now, which is kind of one of the most attractive things about it. We're not just seeing small fish, we're seeing a lot of nice fish coming out of there. So whether you're fishing the mouths of the river like the Saco or the Musam, or if you're fishing along the beaches, or if you're out in the boat just hitting all the islands and places like that, there are fish to be had in all these spots. And the bite's been very good up in the North Country, as we call it here on the report. Drop it down over the border into Massachusetts. Plum Island's been, it's kind of waiting for that wave of fish to come out of Maine. So they're getting some fish. They're working for them a little bit. There's been some nice bluefish in the area. There's been more stripers in that like 25 to 35 inch class. And getting some fish around like Joppa Flats, getting some fish obviously off the island beaches, and some fish around the mouth of the Merrimack as well. One area that's been particularly hot is sort of that southern entrance to Boston Harbor. We'll get better Boston Harbor reports from Danny Parma at the end of this, but we're seeing a lot of nice fish coming out of that region right now. Most of these fish are being caught in boats, although we are seeing some blitz activity around some of the mouths of the estuaries and some of the rivers. But really nice fish coming off the ledges, coming off some of the harbor islands, and it does seem like a good push of those fish has crossed the canal now and is sort of kind of streaming along that bayside beach right now. So we're seeing some nice fish coming off of places like Sandy Neck, but more of that activity that we're seeing along the bayside beaches right now has been smaller fish. Some of the bigger fish seem like they've made it all the way out to P-Town at this point. In fact, we got a nice report from our video guy, Tim's brother-in-law, Carl, who he and a bunch of friends went out off of Race Point this weekend, and they did quite well. They had fish in the, like, I would say 30 to 40 inch class, caught them a bunch of different ways. I think they had some top water, they did some trolling. And they did some casting of soft plastics and swimming plugs, and the action was good throughout most of the day. The guys had a blast, and I'm taking that as a good sign that some of these fish are kind of making that turn around the end of the Race Point and are going to populate the outer beaches, because reports I've been hearing from the outer beaches so far, especially over these last 2 weeks, have been kind of not so great. So we're just kind of waiting for that next wave of the migration to make its way into that area. Dropping down into the Monomoy area, this is one of the better spots for boat striped bass fishing in Massachusetts right now. Basically between Nantucket and Monomoy has been a pretty hot zone for stripers. There's been a lot of big bluefish in that area. It's one of the areas where you have a shot at maybe finding a really big albie, and there's some bonito in that stretch as well. As you cross over into Nantucket Sound proper, we are just not seeing the numbers of albies that we're used to seeing at this time of the year. I think it's just due to the fact that those fish came in from a little bit of a different track than normal. And so, that area is really lagging behind right now. There are some guys finding some fish, but they're really putting in a lot of time to find them. So basically what it is, it's scattered schools. There's also some bonito in the area, and there's a surprising number of Spanish mackerel. In fact, I got an incredible photo of just an absolutely titanic Spanish mackerel. It was taken somewhere in the Woods Hole area. Check this fish out. I mean, it looks like it swallowed an albie. It's a serious fish, but though Spanish mackerel a lot of times will tend to chase smaller baits, although I've had some luck fishing with swimming plugs that get deeper. So it's almost like sometimes those Spanish macks are a little lower than the bonito or the albies. So if you want to target one, that's something you could try. I use like a 110 size, basically a freshwater jerkbait, and just crank it down 4 or 5 feet, and then just kind of resume that stop and start, but quick action, and that seems to work for me. Elizabeth Islands have been a little slower than you might expect for striped bass activity this week. The better bite has been after dark, but I talked to a few guys who have been fishing there during the day, and they haven't been doing so hot. So a friend of mine was fishing all around Nashawina in the boat just this morning, throwing docks and soft plastics and stuff. It didn't raise a single fish. So Elizabeth Islands might be in a little bit of a time of transition at the moment, or maybe it's just a nighttime thing right now. Pushing through the islands into Buzzards Bay. There are albies moving into Buzzards Bay, moving east, out of Rhode Island into Buzzards Bay. A lot of these fish are mixed with bonito, so you are going to be but you're going to be catching a lot more bonito than you are albies right now. So you definitely want to, if you're a mass guy, this is the areas that I would concentrate on, is what I'm trying to say. Moving up toward the canal, we'll check in with Eddie in a minute, but I did hear that the canal had some bigger fish. Push of some really nice fish came in one day last week following a big school of bunker, so that's kind of exciting. And then the best togging in Massachusetts right now has definitely been in that entrance to Buzzards Bay area, from Cuttyhunk all the way across to Westport. I haven't heard of anything gigantic, but I've definitely heard of fish up into the 8-pound class, let's say. And there's been some stripers in the area, there's been some albies and some bonito in that area as well. And now let's check in with our Massachusetts field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. Boston's still doing pretty well. We did have a couple of storms a few weeks ago that kind of mixed things up a little bit. But slowly and surely the action's been coming back. We had a few trips last week that landed a dozen to, maybe 20-ish fish. This week we had a couple, and they were pretty much the same. Morning bites, definitely the best. There's a big influx of pogies that just moved into the Boston area, in front of Revere Beach, in front of Dare Island, all the way up the river. You find the pogies, most likely there's bass on them. If you see surface feeds, we've been throwing the 3/4 ounce algags, whippet fish, the white ones, or some small albie snacks. Another thing we've been doing is we throw a little drop-a-loop on that leader with the algags and throw on a little fly. I make these small teaser flies, and sometimes when there's a decent amount of rain bait in that area, that kind of keyed in on it. So that's another way we get the schoolies with the teaser flies. Anyway, get out there, guys. We're going to be shoveling snow before you know it. So get out there, go offshore. Get some bass trips in, because it's coming. That's what I got for you guys. stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Hi Dave, another beautiful day here on the Cape Cod Canal. Got a west dropping tide behind me. The canal lit up this past week, what we've been waiting for, the migration and the fall run. A lot of guys caught some nice fish this week. Most of them are on the bottom jigging, but there were some surface bites. Bull McKinnon caught 4 striped bass on top and a surface bite that were 18 to 21 pounds in the beginning of the week with his 3-ounce Wally's pencil on an early east tide. And then during the weekend he caught 4 more stripers, a bluefish, and a couple of bonito. Bustin' Bob Brew reported a 42-inch on the Cape side that same day was caught. And Tony McCann, one of the nicest guys in the canal, was fishing with a 4-ounce white homemade bucktail in a breaking tide, and Tony reeled in a 48-inch striper. And I'm just so happy for him. That's the biggest fish I've heard in the canal in a while. And Adirondack Jim Crome, who usually fishes with cut bait, he caught a 40-inch striper with a crippled herring. Glenn Lucky Cigar Lindsay was here all day, and in the morning he caught a 39-inch and a 38-inch with a striper gear pink shaddy daddy on an east flood tide. And then in the afternoon he caught, on a west tide, he caught a bonito. And then at dusk he caught a slot for the grill, and on a bone-colored savage sand deal. And Lucky Cigar Lindsay had his cigar going that night, and it kept the bugs away at dusk, because it can be pretty bad at that time. I love fishing next to Glenn, because when he lights that cigar, it's better than bug spray, and it smells better too. So there was an east-dropping tide the other day, produced a lot of striped bass for a lot of guys, some of them over 40 inches. And Rob Fish Sticks Pisa that day caught a slot, a 34-inch, and a bluefish on a 5-ounce white paddle tail. And Ben, the potato manager Sivanen, ended the weekend Sunday afternoon with a nice bonito on a hoagie, white hoagie epoxy jig on a rising east tide. So my tip, so it's been great, and hopefully it continues. And so my tip of the week is that this Saturday, September 20th, is Canal Day, which is a terrific event every year. There's food trucks, there's booths, there's a lot of things going on, there's entertainment. Ayla Brown will be singing there. She's a great singer, really nice girl. She, I think she lives in Nashville now, but she was kind enough to sing the national anthem at one of the law days that I put on when I was working. And she's the daughter of a friend of mine, Scott Brown, who was the United States Senator. And Ayla was a finalist in the American Idol years ago. So she's great. She's and there'll be other entertainment as well. So Canal Day is really a great time, and it's this Saturday, so just don't miss it. And until next week, catch a big one.
Moving over into Rhode Island, it's been kind of a funky week as far as hardtails go. It started off pretty hot, and things have changed with the wind. So the wind has been north. It's north again right now, but it changed from north to southwest for a day or so, and for whatever reason, that seems to have scattered these fish. A lot more bonito than there are albies right now. The better albie fishing still seems to be in the central part of the state. So Point Judith over to like Quaney Breachway has been the hot zone this week. But the fish are much more scattered. The bite is much less reliable. If you want bonito, you can pretty much go wherever you want, find some birds, and chances are pretty good that you're going to find some. On the striped bass end of things, there's fish around Newport, there's fish around Jamestown and Narragansett, but the best fishing has been out around Block Island. We've seen some really nice fish coming out of the Block Island area over the last 7 days. A lot of these fish are, approaching or eclipsing the 40-pound mark. And there's been some topwater actions in the mornings, but a lot of the bite has been on soft plastics, fish near the bottom, and it's been described as world class. So if you're looking for a big bass, that might be the place to try this weekend. Bottom fishing has been a little bit slower if you're looking for fluke and sea bass. It's been kind of the same as it's been all summer. If you're looking for fluke, I would definitely concentrate more on Block Island at this time, or just outside the breachways, because you have that injection of bait. There has not been a ton of bluefish around. There's some big blues out around Block Island. And what was I going to say? The breachways have been putting out some decent sized striped bass this week, especially after dark. And as we move into the new moon, which is coming right up this weekend, I expect to see those breachways really start to put out some fish. Now let's check in with our field correspondents in Rhode Island.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, guys. Nice to be back again. Hey, got a lot going on in the East Bay and a little bit of Mount Hope Bay. The rivers are starting to light up with some bigger bass, a lot of bluefish. Be small, but there's a lot of bluefish, there's a lot of bait, just there's a lot of everything going on. The ground fishing also continues to improve. Warren Barrington rivers definitely been really good with 25 to 28 inch fish, mainly at dusk and dawn. There have been some little blitzes going on inside the river, but those were mainly like small bluefish, and I'm talking 5 to 8, maybe 9-inch bluefish, little cocktail blues that are just savaging bait everywhere in both the Barrington and Warren rivers. Moving out into the Bay, Bristol Highlands, Cold State Park, guys are doing great with the Tog scup off the docks there. Guys are doing really well at night chunking with smaller bass. Moving into Mount Hope Bay, I gotta tell you, it's loaded with bait, just like the regular bay is. Kickamute River, the mouth of the Coles River, right out in front of Fall River, in front of Borden Lighthouse. There's tons and tons of bait, and there's a lot of big, small bluefish. Not big bluefish yet, but I have seen some bigger ones in Mount Hope Bay, 15 to 20 inch fish. Guys trolling some plugs back and forth, producing some fish. There are some flukes still in Mount Hope Bay off the Portsmouth shoreline. You really got to work hard for them. There's some sea bass and some good sized scup in the mix. Moving out towards the Saconnet, I got to tell you, there's a lot of bait in there. There's a lot of bluefish, and hopefully some of those albies that are in, or Bonito, move down the river more towards the Tiverton Basin, and we can catch some of those guys in the bay. But other than that, it's been really good going forward. I think you're going to see a lot more bass coming into the East Bay here, and getting into the bay proper, as we would call it. But that's all we got from the East Bay. We'll talk to you next week, guys. Tight lines.
What's going on, guys? What's up, Dave? Checking in with you this week. The name of the game is the albies. The albies have arrived in numbers. It seems like everybody is catching them, which is good. It's good to have them back. Last year was kind of so-so for them, if not any. But it's a lot of bones. A lot of albies are mixing in the same piles we're encountering, which is cool too, because it's kind of like a shuffle of the deck. So we're getting lots of Bonito, lots of albies. Game on exo jigs, 1 ounce, 3/4 ounce, nuclear chicken, silver, and white have been doing the trick for us. And the Rapala X-Wrap has been doing good too as well. If you want to troll it, or you want to cast and retrieve, that's okay too. This thing has actually got a numerous albies for me this year. It's been doing very, very well for me. And the Tautog bite is picked up considerably. I'm suspecting because we're off the moon now. The nights are getting colder, and let's face it, it's just that time of year for those tog to start chewing now. We're getting tog in shallow water at 25 feet, 30 feet. It's pretty much the jig. You drop down a jig with Asian crabs or green crabs, and it's really just game on from there. I've been also on a striped bass bite at night. Those fish are moving around in the day too. There's a lot of squid that showed up too as well. That's happening. That bite's going on. Sea heron, that's happening. That's going on. And peanut bunker, that's also happening. That's going on. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of options out there, guys. This is the time of year to go out there and maximize your chances at getting lots of fish and having a blast on the water. There is fluke under bait schools, so just keep an eye out on that. If you're in the market for some fluke, I like to say buzzer beater fluke, but they're under bait schools too, so keep that in mind. In the sea bass as well, if you guys looking for sea bass to underneath those bait schools, they're just following bait around. Or you can fish humps and bumps and structure for those sea bass too as well. But all in all, Dave, I'm gonna get after it. I just tied bucktails and I'm doing some night fishing. So, I'm gonna get it while I talk. So, all right, I'll check in with you next week. Later.
Hey Dave, Todd Treonze with Fishing Gear with a weekly fishing report. A couple areas that I'll cover here in the next couple of minutes, give a feel for what's going on. Spent some time over the weekend on the hardtails, and what's pretty cool this year is I've found them now in 4 distinct areas of Rhode Island, and been able to catch them in all those areas. So it's telling me that there's a good number of albies and bonitos still around. Still similar to what I saw last week, still mixed schools. Found a blitz real tight to the beach, a little bit down in South County one day, and cast in there albie, cast in there again bonito, cast in there again bluefish. So a good mix of fish kind of in those schools. Some good feeds. I saw some really good feeds off of the Gansett area on Monday, and you get some really good solid feeds pop up for a while, then they'd settle out, then you'd see them back every like 10 or 15 minutes. So definitely a good number of both albie and bonito still around, which is great to see. The other thing I put a little time into as the week closed out was stripers. There's still a good amount of stripers around. Bite still tends to be eels before the sun comes up, finding big fish. Once the sun comes up, you'll pick them off with the tube here and there. Haven't seen a lot of topwater. Haven't seen a lot of big topwater blitzes just yet. I think that's coming still as this fall run starts to build here and as we get closer to that next moon. But there's definitely still some bass around. I'm starting to pivot now. I'm starting to work more on blackfish, starting to work on that bottom game a bit more, targeting some black sea bass mixed in there as I start to do some of that togging. And just really excited about this great hardtail bite that's around, and hopefully the weather pattern sticks. We've had no big storms in a long time, and I think that's really kind of helping us set a nice. There's tons of bait out there. I've seen these things I've seen the hardtails on anchovies. I've seen them on sand eels. So I've been running game on Exo Jig, a big one, the 4-inch, 1.5 ounce, and just sending it over to the schools and running as quick as I can, and it's generating a lot of hits. So I hope everybody has a great weekend on the water and stay hooked out there. Till next time.
Hi Dave, Coral here from Sara Star Charters with a Rhode Island fishing report. We are approaching the fall season here, and this is my favorite time of year to fish for many reasons. First and foremost, my favorite fishery we have here in Rhode Island is to tog, and this is now the season where we start doing that. We start loading up on crabs. The bait shops are selling crabs now, and there's lots of opportunity for tog fishing, and it's been pretty good. I think it's been a good early bite because the water temperature did not get that warm like it usually does in August. It usually maxes out around 72 or 74 degrees. We did not see this year. It was, I think, maxed at 70 in August, and now it's been steady, 68, 67 degrees, which is, relatively cold for the end of the summer. So I think that kind of contributed to a pretty good early tog bite. And I've been catching to tog in anywhere from 15 feet of water to about 40 feet of water. So this is a great time to fish for them super shallow, a great time to fish for them from shore, and using, very small jigs and, pitching those off if you're fishing from shore into the rocks, or just getting on a shallow piece of structure. And it's super fun. You drop down and, maybe a couple cranks and the fish are already at the surface. So there's really nothing better than shallow fishing for to tog. And I love doing that this time of year. So everything has just kind of been coming into place here with the fall, and lots of bird activity, what you would expect. And the stripers start to, you start to see feeds popping up all over the place. And the albies have showed up. They've been here for a few weeks. I haven't personally caught any. I haven't really tried, but I have seen some blitzes. Known places that they pop up are, around the bridge area of Newport, off of Ledge Road in Newport, and Sakana area is a great place to run into some albie feeds. In that mix, there's bonito in there, stripers, albies, using some little epoxy jigs, small profile things, even like unweighted albie snacks work really well. So everything's kind of status quo, and I'm very excited that we are able to have this fishery right now, because last year the albies just were non-existent. They did not show up. So this is a great time for a lot of surf casters to get on some fish, because the bait gets really pushed up close to shore, and it's very easy accessible for those people who don't have boats. And a lot of times, like the last couple weeks, I've seen a lot of feeds very close to shore in very shallow water that I can't get to in a boat. So it's a perfect opportunity for those people fishing from shore to get on the action. So very looking forward to this fall. It's off to a really great start, lots of activity. And I'm excited for this Tog bite to really be in full force and continue on into October.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Another fishery that's been really firing on all cylinders in Rhode Island has been the Tog fishery. Seen a lot of nice fish being taken. I got this awesome photo from this guy, Tom O'Brien, today, showing the success that the kayak guys have been having with Tog. The bite's been very, very good in the Newport, Jamestown, and Narragansett areas. A lot of nice fish. Again, I haven't heard of anything gigantic yet, no double-digit fish yet, but we're seeing a lot of fish in that like 6 to 8.5 pound range. Bite's been very good. And as the water continues to cool, things are just going to get better and better for the close to shore guys. So you can start focusing on that 25-foot depths or even less right now, and you're going to have a good chance of finding some fish. Crossing over into Long Island Sound, into Connecticut waters, we are seeing probably some of the best albie fishing that we've seen over the last week has been in the eastern Long Island Sound. A lot of nice fish being taken, a lot of action, a lot of hysteria around these fish. We've heard of some taken from shore in places like Avery Point. We've seen a lot of fish taken in kayaks from the Connecticut River all the way to the Rhode Island border. And obviously the boat guys are out there crushing it as well. Any one of these tide rip areas, whether it's one of the points or islands or outflowing water coming from the Thames or the Connecticut River, or really anywhere in between, you got a chance of finding these fish. There's a lot of bonito in the mix there as well, but it does seem like the best albie fishing in the region this week has been in eastern Long Island Sound. So if you're looking to get in on some albie fishing, that's where I'd check out. As far as bottom fishing goes, sea bass fishing's been about the same as it's been all year. Weeding through tons of shorts to find the occasional keeper in some of that deeper 70 plus, in some of those 70-foot plus depths, easy for me to say. If you're looking for fluke, right now a lot of those fish are starting to make their migrations offshore. So, you can find some fish outside places like the Connecticut River or the Thames or any one of the harbors. But if you really want to target a big one, I would just take the trek out to Montauk. A lot of those fish come out of the sound and just make that turn around the big point out there, and that seems to be the hot zone for autumn fluke fishing. Striped bass-wise, seen a lot of big fish in the eastern half of the Sound. Whether you're fishing in Niantic, whether you're fishing outside the Connecticut River, or whether you're heading out to the islands and fishing the Race or the Sluiceway or the Gut, a lot of nice fish coming out of those areas, being caught a whole bunch of different ways. 3-weighing eels, 3-weighing bucktails, throwing topwaters in the morning. Diamond jigging has been working. Up along the shoreline, guys are doing it more with things like the dock, throwing glide baits, throwing big swimmers. Surf fishermen are doing it after dark with needlefish, big soft plastics, stuff like that. But a lot of nice fish are being taken in that area. As you get more toward the western central Sound, out to all the reefs like Southwest and 6 Mile and Duck Island and all that stuff, seem to be fewer of those really big fish out in that area. So if you're looking for big ones, I would stay east. If you're looking for keepers, I would probably fish more toward the central west. As we get further into the western Sound, things change a little bit, and we'll hear more about that from Max in a minute. So let's check in with our Connecticut field correspondents now.
Hey everybody, for this week's fishing forecast, we're in the fall run. Now through end of October is the prime time for fall run fishing. What that means is we have a variety of species and ways to target them. So starting with striped bass, we have big striped bass, there's medium-sized striped bass, and there's schoolies. We catch them on top water, variety of artificials, and there's some nice fish out there. Bluefish are running as well. We've seen small tailor and harbor sized bluefish. There's snapper bluefish along the beaches, and there's some big gators on the deeper reefs. They're going to be hitting things like diamond jigs and those heavier 100-gram current sniper jigs. There are some sea bass on the reefs as well. A lot of shorts, but there is a lot of bottom fish like sea bass and porgies. If you jig on the bottom, you're going to catch them. And then the hardtails. We're finally having a good hardtail season after last year's absence. There's false albacore running all through Long Island Sound. There was a good Bonito run as well. They seem to have thinned out a little bit, but we're definitely having a good run for people that want to light tackle fish for those hardtails. Also heard some reports of Spanish mackerel as well. So, now through end of October is going to be your time to fish the fall run.
Introducing the Yak Attack Sand Rig Surf Cart, the ultimate beach hauler for serious anglers. Glide effortlessly over soft sand with wide balloon wheels and lightweight, corrosion-resistant construction that's completely customizable with options. Whether it's rods, coolers, or tackle, haul it all with ease. Built by surf fishermen and engineered by Yak Attack.
What's up, everyone? Matt here from Blackwell Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. We're easing our way into a more fall-like pattern for sure right now. Not full-blown yet. We're not kind of guiding the day with like birds blitzing and stuff like that, but that is starting to happen, which is kind of what we expect when the water temps start to tick down a little bit. They really haven't gone down that much. It is, mid-September, but the water's, pushing 70 in most spots locally. And it's been warm, which not a bad thing. September weather, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year it rained almost all September. I do because I was bummed. I love September. But it's been great. So we're still getting a lot of large bass. Eels are flying out the door right now. It's a really great way to throw an easy, big meal in front of a bass that's starting to think about migrating. Get them filled up before they head out. So good time to catch big bass right now. Topwater bite has also been very good. Sea bass and fluke, kind of the same pattern. I haven't really heard much of an uptick in either. Guys are fine in sea bass, but it's tough. A lot of short fluke, kind of that whole rigmarole we've been going through all summer. Not a bad thing. You'll bend the rod. You just might not, fill the cooler necessarily. Local albies, we have got them. They hit last week pretty hard. We had a couple insane days over the weekend. Guys just talking about some pretty incredible stuff going on. Kind of central and eastern sound right now. There is a little bit of a wind and a little bit of a shakeup, so I'm curious to see where those fish pop up afterwards. I checked a few shore spots yesterday, didn't see much, but the wind was ripping pretty good. So right now we've been selling a lot of silver at the shop. I've seen guys telling me they're on small bay anchovies, as well as I've seen some photos from some buddies of some really nice silver sides, which that silver, Game On or Hoagie epoxy mimic really well. Albie snacks also always a great option too. So that's kind of what's going on. Great weather out there. We've had some really nice days. So get out there, make a memory before it gets a little bit too cold, and have some fun.
Hey everybody. So extremely dry conditions continue for most of New England, and that extends well into the Connecticut River and its water levels. It is extremely low, as much as 30% or so below normal. And that does mean that the weed growth, especially on the western sides of the river, which get more sun exposure throughout the day, is pretty excessive. On the warmer days, you may have some very good hollow-bodied frog fishing on the western sides of the river. Anywhere there's good solid weed beds. The tidal influences are more significant right now further upriver than normal. The salt line is further up. But there is still plenty of good fishing to be had. There's a scattering of stripers pretty much throughout the river at the moment. The bass fishing is pretty decent, not phenomenal, but not bad. Decent catfish fishing, not fantastic because the water's so low. They're a little bit potted up and kind of lethargic, not feeding particularly heavily. And the carp fishing also sporadic, but not bad. You can definitely still get into some good fish. There's good sight fishing to be had with the low, clear water. Pike fishing has slowed down pretty dramatically. I think that's just because there's so many weeds for them to be in. It's kind of hard to isolate where they're going to be sitting. So the pike bite, even though the water temperatures, especially in the mornings, are nice and cool, not very good yet. We'll see how that picks up going into the fall. But yep, very low water conditions look like they'll continue for a while. But the fishing isn't completely terrible. There's still some good stuff to be had.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with your local fishing report. This past week, we've seen an uptick in weak fish locally, I would say from Stratford all the way down to the Norwalk Islands. They've ranged in sizes from, 3 pounds, we've seen them up to like 5 or 6 pounds. A lot of guys in our areas are getting them around the Rhode Island humps and the deeper parts of 28C porgy fishing. They're getting them bycatch or shallow around the islands casting bucktails. Another big news this week is hardtails are showing up. There's rumors of albies. I've seen some caught. There's a lot of bonito around Middle Ground, a lot of bonito on the North Shore from like Port Jeff, Mount Sinai, Crane's Neck, Smithtown Bay. There have been some caught, south of our islands, but most anglers right now looking for the albies and the hardtails are going, Middle Ground and east of there. Locally, the striped bass bite is still a little on the slower side. The temps are starting to drop. Your best bet is definitely early morning plugging around the islands. I would definitely concentrate shallow this time of year. Our back bays, harbors, estuaries with all this peanut bunker around. Usually on the bigger tides is where our big reefs get really good going on a diamond jig bite when we're on these 7, 6 to 8 foot tides. That's when you really want to hit our 11B and 28C to get on. That's when they stack up and get a good diamond jig bite going on. Locally, the bluefish are so-so. The snappers now, they're like, I would say, cocktail-sized blues. They are in all our harbors around the islands. They're taking a variety of baits, Castmasters, small poppers, you name it. Fluke fishing is still very slow. We haven't heard much, just tons of shorts. You can bounce around this time of year. Shallow water, deep water, there's tons of bait around. So, putting in your time, trying to find the fish. If you do start catching shorts, I would definitely stay in that area and see if you can weed them out and find some keepers. Porgy is still the name of the game. They're all over our beaches, all over our shallow water reefs and our deep water reefs. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. One thing I am seeing, which is exactly why I'm here, as you might be able to see him here and there behind me, is we're definitely starting to see the mullet moving now out of some of these Rhode Island estuaries. So if you've been waiting for that, if you're a surf guy and you're waiting for that crazy mullet bite, I think it's going to happen maybe this week with this moon. So keep your eyes on the beaches. But in any way, shape, or form, if you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every species, every angling discipline. It's $32 for the year, $31.95. It's the best $32 you're going to spend if you're a fisherman. You're going to get 12 paper issues sent to your house. You're going to get 26 digital editions sent to your email. You're going to get digital access to all our back issues, plus our other 2 editions. It's by far the best $32 you're ever going to spend if you're a fisherman. But if you go to the website and you're still not interested, which would be tough to understand, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week, as long as I get off this island before the tide comes in. See ya.